Hi, I'm excited to do this episode today. It's been a long time since I've done a recording, and this one is way overdue. So today I'm going to be talking about HRT, my experience, the experience of my friends and a lot of my clients who have started HRT in the past year. So this episode is called HRT A Year Later. My name is Jennifer Spring, licensed marriage and family therapist in Southeastern Connecticut. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and help me reach my goal. So basically, I'm not going to go over everything that I did in the first episode. So if you need a review on what I said the first time, or if you haven't watched it, please go ahead and do that. I spent a lot of time in that first episode a year ago when I recorded and launched it, talking about what the misconception is about HRT, why a lot of the doctors that you go to will tell you, no, they don't want to put you on it because it's bad. It involves research that was done with our moms back in the 60s and 70s, and the research that came out in the 80s about HRT and how it was bad and harmful and caused cancer. And so all of our moms had to come off of it immediately. I explain what happened exactly with that Women's Health Initiative research study and how the findings were really misleading, and what in fact that they told all the doctors and all of our moms was not actually accurate. And also, in addition, we are taking HRT in a different way. So I explained that thoroughly in my other episode. I also give some resources that you can do your own research to look at the study yourself, to see for yourself, and to listen to other experts in the field discuss that study. I also go through in that first episode talking about what is menopause and what happens to us and our cycle as we approach menopause. As we go through 10 years is the general average length of time from the beginning of perimenopause to menopause, which is technically defined as 1 year after your last bleed. And then what happens in postmenopause. So I kind of go through all that information too. I'm not going to do that. What I want to spend time today on is going through my findings. What happened to me a year later? It's actually been a year and a half. This is way late since I started taking HRT. What is happening with other women that I know that are taking it, so that if you are just starting HRT, if you're considering HRT, or if you're on it, you may relate to this and get more information. So I have some key points that I want to talk about today. My board, people often ask what I write on my chalkboard today is, you can't make a difference until you are different. And actually that's really fitting regarding this talk today, because if you feel crappy and really shitty being in perimenopause and menopause, which 99.9% of women do, you can't be different unless you do you can't feel different unless you do something different. And HRT can be that different thing that you do that could make a difference for you. So actually I didn't plan that, but that was pretty genius. Number one, what I am finding still is that many doctors do not want to prescribe it. This is so frustrating and so disappointing, because we have more and more and more research out there that shows the benefits of women being on HRT and the preventative measures it's taking with women who are on HRT. Preventative prevents diabetes, dementia, strokes, blood clots, hip fractures, osteoporosis, cancers, blood clots, if I didn't say that one. I mean, so many things, in addition to our mental health and our ability to finally sleep. It can actually serve as preventative care. So it's really annoying and frustrating that women are still going to doctors and they're saying, no, it's dangerous, it causes cancer. No, it doesn't, actually. It has the opposite effect. So more doctors and nurse practitioners are becoming aware of it. People are doing their own deep dives. Keep in mind that very few doctors in the medical field or in med school in general even study menopause. So somebody has to be willing to want to understand menopause and perimenopause. And keep in mind, women's health is a very, very tiny percentage of money that's designated towards general health. So a lot of med schools don't even talk about this. What I'm finding is it's the doctors and the nurse practitioners who are entering this phase of life that are like, what the frig is happening to me, that are going off and leaving private practices, leaving group practices, and going off on their own and becoming perimenopause and menopause experts, which is fantastic. Because they're also going through it. So if you have a doctor, if you've gone to your doctor and they say that they are unwilling to put you on HRT, find a different doctor. And that leads to the whole issue of how do you find somebody? How do you find somebody that has all this information and is willing to prescribe it for you? It's not easy. So you've got to be diligent. Ask friends. Ask your local pharmacist who's prescribing this. They know the women that they're giving hormone replacement to. Go on the menopause.org website. That's the National Menopause Society website. Or find a functional health doctor. That's the kind of doctor I see. I've been seeing somebody like that for a long time now. They are not MDs. They are functional medicine doctors, and there is a website called the IFM, Institute of Functional Medicine.org, IFM.org. Functional medicine providers, and I talk about this a little bit in my other episodes, so please go back, really kind of focus on getting to the root of the problem. They are going to put you on a ton of supplements. They're going to talk to you about nutrition and sleep and stress management and food and exercise and all of these things that are what you're doing wrong is affecting your body in a negative way. They're not going to jump to psychotropic meds. Or prescription medication. They may, in addition to doing some other stuff with you, but they're the ones that are going to talk to you about food intolerances and run panels on vitamins and micronutrient and macronutrient testing. I talk about those things in my episode regarding supplements. So anyway, don't give up if your doctor says they're unwilling to do it. There are still a lot of them out there. So keep shopping because you will find one. And you have to find one that is willing to talk to you about your individual health history and whether or not HRT is for you. Number 2, the general consensus among women that are going on HRT is it is life-changing, that they don't want to be off of it, that they are never going off of it, that they wish they started a lot earlier, and it has changed their life in a positive way. There are over 100 symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. The top 10 being exhaustion, brain fog, problems sleeping, memory loss and forgetfulness, anxiety, joint pain, lack of concentration, lack of focus, hot flashes, and low or no libido, and 90 plus more. What we are seeing and what has happened to me, my 2 biggest issues that I had with menopause is that I was exhausted and my body hurt. So I'm really active. I work out all the time. I run. I just always attributed it to age, that I'm achy, my body hurts, my bones hurt, my muscles hurt, my joints hurt. Well, as it turns out, that was menopause. And I know that because what's happening is whatever symptoms are specific and unique to you, they go away when you go on HRT. It's like the greatest thing ever. So my energy came back almost instantly and my body started feeling better, even though I was doing all of the same things, running, working out, lifting, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever symptom that you have, I don't know if this is what you you're seeing too, but probably because this is what I'm seeing across the board. Whatever is specific to you actually goes away on the HRT. That's how you know it's working. I want to direct you guys, and I'm going to probably reference this website a lot. wearemorphis.com. Andrea Donsky is a nutritionist that has gone off to focus her career entirely on educating and doing research on perimenopause and menopause. That's the website I just referred to, in the top 10 symptoms. There are a lot of surveys that she's doing that, by the way, just got published. So the latest research that is out there is because you and I are taking these surveys on her website. So if you haven't done that, please refer to that. Contribute to the research, because she's producing more and more. She actually just spoke at the National Convention at the Menopause National Society and presented the research, and it's really exciting stuff. Also on her website are supplements. It's a whole supplement line geared towards women in peri and menopause for help with sleep and metabolic health and high blood pressure and all kinds of things, just overall nutrition. Some of the supplements I actually recommend to all women and a lot of men too, and that's in my episode regarding the 4 supplements that I usually recommend across the board. But she has a line that's tested, third-party tested, and geared towards women in this stage of life, and not just for general health, but for some specific things too that you might be dealing with. Also on her website, she has a podcast, and in her podcast, she is constantly and always interviewing people in this field who know things, who know the research, who have products out there that are geared towards our symptoms. So libido, skin issues, sleep, cholesterol, high cholesterol that tends to go up at this phase of life. And on and on and on. So she just brings on the greatest people. I was actually on her podcast too, talking about how perimenopause and menopause affects relationships. So please, if you don't follow her, she's a resource that you absolutely need. So moving on, symptoms disappear when you're on HRT. That's good to know. When you first start taking HRT, it's important to start slow. If you make that choice to go on it, and finally find a doctor, you want to start slow and you want to go on the lowest doses. I've got some clients who are really postmenopausal, and their doctors put them on the highest dose right off the bat. Obviously, they were symptomatic. You want to start on the lowest dose. You want to pay very close attention to how you're feeling, better or worse. You want to take notes. You want to keep a log in a journal, so you have documentation, so that it's very possible what's going to happen is you're going to go on HRT, feel so much better, and forget how bad that you felt. We don't want that to happen, because you need to be really mindful of everything. Because you're going to be the biggest director of this journey of being on HRT and moving along through your course of life. You want to do blood work in the beginning, absolutely. And then you want to do it every 6 to 12 months at the most to make sure your hormones haven't come up too much, have come up enough. You see what I'm saying? That's going to determine what dose you should be taking. There's 2 different doses of progesterone, 100 milligrams and 200 milligrams. And there's 4 different doses of estradiol, which is the estrogen. That's going to be your patch. It's going to be a transdermal way of getting your estrogen. So you don't want to start on the highest dose. That's obviously kind of makes sense, but you want to challenge your doctor if they want to put you on the highest dose right away. Also, if you don't need it, you don't want to go on it. So that's why it's important to test your blood too. You may have plenty of estrogen if you're in the earlier stages of perimenopause, but no progesterone. In that case, you only want to take progesterone. If you're in the later stages where you've lost progesterone and estrogen, we want to also take a look at your testosterone. If you need testosterone, some women lose it really early. Some women generally, That's the last hormone to leave us. I made the mistake of, I was so excited about feeling so much better when I immediately started taking estrogen, progesterone. I only gave myself a month, and then I started taking testosterone. Well, I didn't need testosterone, and my blood work showed that, but I was overzealous and I just wanted to like feel like amazing. And so I thought it would make me feel even better if I went on testosterone, even though I didn't need testosterone. And I know I didn't need it because I had plenty according to my blood work. You should have around 30, your number should be in the 30s-ish, and I was 32, so it was completely normal. I took testosterone and oh my goodness, I felt weird. And it was a very, very low dose, but I got really anxious. I kept going to CVS to take my blood pressure because I felt like I was having a heart attack. I was having heart palpitations, and I felt aggressive, and I'm already an intense person, and I felt even more intense, and I didn't correlate what was happening at first until somebody said to me, "Are you taking testosterone?" And I said, "Yes." And I came off of it and immediately went back to feeling normal. So I do continue to test that every 6 to 8 months, and I'm still fine. But I also know women that are my age that have like 2 are their numbers. They need to take testosterone in addition to their estrogen and their progesterone. So if you don't need it, don't take it. When you start taking it, start slow, do your lowest doses, and then you will gradually increase as the years go by. I'm still at the lowest dose of progesterone, and I bumped up 1 little inch. It went from 0.375 to 0.05 with my estrogen, but I still have 2 other steps that I can go to. So I'm still very low, and it's only, it's been a year and a half, but I'm staying low until I need to go up. Next point is that doctors do prescribe it differently. This was new information. I thought there was only one way to prescribe it, and that was progesterone every day in your patch, which can be changed once a week or twice a week, depending on what patch that you have. I'm seeing providers prescribe it for clients and friends of mine. Not necessarily that way. The progesterone is a little bit different. Estrogen is around the clock, keep your patch on. Progesterone, some doctors are prescribing it only half of the month. So either like the first 12 or 14 days or the second 12 or 14 days, however you can remember it best. And so they're cycling on and off progesterone to kind of resemble the body's natural cycle of having progesterone and then it dropping, you getting a period, and then the rise back up into progesterone. I've tried this way. I don't like it. To me, I feel like that fatigue feeling is directly correlated to my progesterone. And so I need my progesterone 31 days out of the month, basically every day. But if that's how your doctor prescribes it, I am seeing it that way. And it's also really positive and works really well. There's also a combi patch that is prescribed that has progesterone and estrogen combined, combi. If the transdermal or the progesterone pill doesn't work for you, that could potentially be an option. I'm seeing that too. It's not as common, but it's being given to women that can't seem to tolerate the transdermal estrogen and the progesterone pill. Next point, when is it too late to start? So in my first episode, I talked about the research is showing that it's still safe to start HRT up to 6 years after your last bleed. The research is changing a little bit in this last year, and it's now up to 10 years. So that's really good news. If you stopped your period at age 50 and you're 60 and you think you are way over the limit of starting HRT, if you are suffering and still experiencing a lot of symptoms related to menopause, something worth talking to your provider, your doctor about. It might not be too late. That's good news. Next point, when is it too early to start HRT? talked about this in my last episode too, that generally in our early 40s is when we begin to lose our progesterone. It takes about 10 years for the estrogen to catch up and also leave us. So what that means is for a long time, your progesterone is down here, your estrogen is going like this. When it's up here and our progesterone is constantly down here, you are severely estrogen dominant. That happens a lot to almost all of us, unless you are one of those lucky ones where I have a girlfriend, she hasn't lost estrogen or progesterone, she's 54. She's losing them together simultaneously. It's been a breeze for her going into menopause until now it's beginning to finally hit her. She started HRT to regulate that estrogen dominance and that lack of progesterone. But when is it too early to start? As soon as you begin losing your hormones. And that's why it's so important to start testing early. Hopefully, I said this in my last episode, that it will become protocol for us women in our late 30s to be able to get hormone tested and for it to be paid for by our insurance company 100%. Because across the board, we are losing our hormones and being symptomatic because of it. At this point, you can start replacing your progesterone and continue to test throughout your 40s into your 50s so that you know when it's time to start replacing your estrogen as well. What I am seeing, however, with women at this phase of life, we're still in their 40s, our doctors are also, or instead of putting women on HRT, they're putting them on the pill. It's not the treatment of choice. Some women are doing it. Some women are feeling better and having relief from their perimenopause symptoms by being on the pill because it is providing hormones. It's not how I would do it if it were my body, because hormones are synthetic and they're not natural, but it is a course of treatment that is working and said to be healthy. It is an option to talk to your doctor about. And that's why I'm doing this episode, is kind of to tell you what I'm seeing, whether I would do it or not, as the trend and what other women are doing to get relief. That is one of the trends. Next point, number 7, excuse my dog in the back. When you start HRT, you will most likely start bleeding again. So if you haven't had your period in a year or two, you thought you were past it, that was your body just playing tricks with you because they didn't have any hormones, but your body wasn't actually in menopause, which seems weird, but can happen. Your uterine lining, your vaginal lining will look different when it's in menopause because it shrivels, sadly. It becomes very weak and thin. I remembered asking my doctor every time I went for a pap smear, how's it look? How's it look? Because I'm not getting a period, or I'm going 8-9 months without a period. And they're like, you are nowhere near menopause. I'm like, how could that be? Well, it was because my body was just shutting down because of not having any hormones. Once I started taking my hormones, I actually started bleeding again. And for the last year, I still get my period every now and then, which says to me, I'm not ready. It's coming. I'm getting closer and closer. I'm 53, but I'm not in menopause yet. But so anyway, it's possible you will bleed. It's possible you'll just bleed once because it's your uterine lining shedding for the final time. Talk to your doctor about it. Talk to your doctor in advance about it when you start taking HRT, because for a lot of women that really freaks them out and they don't understand what that means and what they should do if they're bleeding regularly. By the way, that's a sign that you're on too high of a dose. I think that actually happened to me now, remembering back. When I went up in a dose of estrogen after being on the lowest dose of estradiol, the patch, for only a few months. I went up in my dose because, again, I was overzealous and I wanted the biggest bang for my buck. I started getting a period like every 2 weeks, and I was like, called my doctor. I'm like, I don't think this is right. And she said, nope, that's a sign that the estrogen is too high. Let's go back on the lowest dose. So talk to your doctor in advance when you're about to go on HRT to understand what the bleed means, what would be normal, what's not normal, and what you should do about it. Most of the women are just getting a bleed or two, or me, like every 6 months, it seems, until I'm definitely menopausal, and it's completely normal. It's hard to remember the patch, and this is just a little tip, and I wish I brought my box over here of my my patch. Because it's twice a week and there's not 8 days in a week, you're not switching your patch every 4 days, right? You're switching your patch every 3.5 days, which is hard to remember. What I do is I write it on my box, what days, Sunday morning, Wednesday night, so that I remember I set an alarm, and sometimes I don't remember to set an alarm. So then I'm like, what day is it? What am I supposed to do? I refer to my box. Oh yeah, Sunday morning, Wednesday night, or whatever. And if Wednesday night comes and I forget to do it, which happens a lot, I'll take it Thursday morning, and then I'll start my new 3.5 day cycle, Thursday morning, Saturday night, or whatever the rotation would be. And I'm constantly write it on my box and crossing it off and writing my new days. If I were smart, I would put it in my phone and have an alarm go off every Sunday morning, Wednesday night to remind me. But I haven't gotten that far for whatever reason. Generally, I'm really good at remembering. Interesting side note though, when I go over too long to switch my patch, when it's not the 3.5 day time, sometimes I've gone to day 5. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to change my patch. Interestingly enough, what happens is I'm tired and my body hurts, right? My number 2 symptoms of this stage of life, perimenopause. Very interesting. That should be my ding, 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 like change your patch. I'm tired and my body hurts. As soon as I put that patch on, a couple hours go by, definitely the day goes by, my fatigue is lifted and my body and joint pain is gone. Very interesting. Remember when I said earlier, your symptoms will disappear on HRT. They really do, but guess what? They come back when you go off of it. It seems, at least that's my experience. And by the way, I don't have any clients or friends that I know that have started and gone off of it. So I don't know if your symptoms come back because nobody's choosing to do that. Next set of information is I'm also seeing my cortisol levels that have been perpetually high for the last decade, it seems, and I know this because I test it in my blood tests every single year when I have a physical, have come down since I've started HRT, which is really great. Also, my cholesterol, which has gone up through the years, creeped up through the years, has also come down. So that's just a little side note. Women, this is usually their number 1 question when that they ask when I talk about HRT to them. And how it will benefit their life is, will it help me lose weight? I wish I could say yes, but we're not finding that. We are finding that it's helping you not gain any more weight. I've gained almost 20 pounds in the last decade. Thank God I was tiny a decade ago because it's really annoying. I work out all the time. I eat almost perfectly, yet my body is holding on to fat. Estrogen is stored in our fat. And so part of the problem is when you lose estrogen through the years, and then when you have no estrogen because you're not on HRT, our body is really smart and always tries to overcompensate, right? Our body holds on to that fat because it has some estrogen in it. That will release when you start taking your estrogen. So that's helpful. But it's not a weight loss drug. It's not, your body isn't just going to be shed the pounds. However, what does happen is you will feel significantly better. You will sleep significantly better. You will have more motivation to do the right things, to make the right choices with food, to make the right choices with exercise. That should and will definitely help you do what you're supposed to do. We all know the things, right? Exercise, sleep, eat healthy. It's hard to do those things when we don't feel well. You'll feel well, you're gonna be able to get all of that back to make better choices. That is a backdoor way of being able to lose weight. You should be, at this phase of life, increasing your protein intake by a lot. You should be eating the amount, whatever your ideal weight is, so let's just say it's 130 pounds, you should be eating 130 grams of protein every day. If you're taking your hormones, if you're doing that, and if you are lifting heavy weights, which is the exercise of, it's the standard protocol at this point in this stage of life, build muscle. Muscle burns more calories than fat. If you're doing those things, your body will change. That has happened to me. I weigh the same amount that I have. I'm maintaining my weight, haven't gained any more weight. Weight was coming on in the last decade. My weight fluctuates down when it's fluctuating at all. However, my body composition has changed a lot. I have a lot less fat and more lean muscle, which means I just look better, I feel better, I fit into my clothes better. The scale says the same. So part of the stage of life, unfortunately, I think is coming to terms with the number on the scale. But that might not be the case for you. If you have more weight to lose, it's possible you are going to lose it. You do need to, however, look at some other things like your metabolic health, which is why we're gaining the weight. Our metabolism is slowed so down at this stage of life. So make sure if you're seeing a functional